Imagine driving down a busy street at night. Bright neon signs glow in red and yellow. Golden arches rise above the highway, calling to you with the promise of a quick meal. Burgers, fries, pizza, fried chicken. In today's world, fast food is everywhere. It fuels our mornings, fills our afternoons, and often defines late night cravings. What would life look like in an alternate reality where it never existed? A world without fast food means no McDonald's or Burger King, no Taco Bell or KFC, no Starbucks or Subway, no drive-thrus, no Happy Meals, no supersize me culture. But it also means the no quick lunches during a hectic workday, no easy dinner for exhausted parents, and no billion-dollar global industry reshaping diets, cities, and economies. Think about it. Fast food isn't just food, it's a way of life. It shaped our cities with drive-through and highways. It influenced our waistlines, our health, our jobs, and even our culture. Movies, music, advertisements, all shaped by fast food. Now strip that away, and the world starts to look very different. We'll dive deep into that alternate reality, a timeline where no one ever thought to sell a burger in under 5 minutes, where fried chicken buckets, pizza delivery, and dollar menus never existed. Would we all be healthier, or would other unhealthy habits take over? Would family dinners still be sacred? Would cities look different? Maybe less neon, more traditional restaurants? And most importantly, how would this one missing invention reshape the entire modern world? To answer those questions, we'll break this story into 8 chapters, exploring daily life, health, the economy, culture, the environment, and finally, the global consequences of living in a world without fast food. By the end, you'll see that fast food is much more than convenience. It's a powerful force that changed everything from our eating habits to our climate. And imagining a world without it might just tell us more about the world we live in today. So let's start at the beginning, the origins of fast food. Because to understand a world without it, we first need to understand how it came to dominate ours. To understand what the world might look like without fast food, we must first look back at how it began. Because fast food was not inevitable, it was born out of very specific moments in history. And if those moments had unfolded differently, the industry we know today might never have existed. The story begins in the early 20th century. America was changing fast, cities growing, cars transforming travel, and families moving quicker than ever before. In 1921, a little hamburger stand in Wichita, Kansas, called White Castle did something revolutionary. They standardized food, same menu, same design, same taste, every time. It was cheap, quick, and dependable. Soon, other companies followed. By the 1940s, the McDonald brothers took the idea further, creating an assembly line for food. Burgers and fries were no longer cooked one at a time. They were mass produced, just like cars. Speed, efficiency, and low prices turned their restaurant into a phenomenon. Then came the Golden Age. The 1950s and 60s saw fast food explode across America, then across the globe. Drive-thrus, neon lights, jingles on TV, and mascots like Ronald McDonald made fast food more than just meals. They became culture. But what if this never happened? What if one or two key moments in history had unfolded differently? Let's imagine. What if White Castle never standardized food? Maybe people kept eating at small diners, each with their own recipes, their own quirks. Food would have remained local, unique, and maybe a little slower. What if the McDonald brothers never invented their assembly line system? Without that single innovation, mass production of food might have stayed in factories, not kitchens. Restaurants might still have focused on experience rather than speed. And what if car culture never took off? No highways, no sprawling suburbs, no need for quick meals on the road. Maybe the entire idea of eating in your car would have felt strange, even rude. In this alternate history, there are no golden arches on every street corner, no Colonel Sanders smiling from a bucket of chicken, no Domino's boxes stacked in college dorms. Instead, local cafes and mom and pop diners continue to thrive. Eating out is slower, more personal, maybe even more expensive. Street food vendors exist, yes, but they're small scale, not global giants. Food remains tied to regions. Italian food in Italy, Mexican food in Mexico, not Taco Bell franchises worldwide. And that brings us to the real question: how would this world affect our everyday lives? No late night pizza deliveries, no drive-through coffee on the way to work, no quick bite between meetings. Would we be healthier? Would we spend more time cooking at home? Would our cities be designed differently, with fewer drive-through lanes and more traditional marketplaces? In the next chapter, we'll step into that world, not just as historians, but as travelers. We'll walk through the streets of a modern city where fast food never existed and see what daily life looks like in a slower, very different world. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the world today. The year is 2025. Cars still fill the highways, people rush to work, students hurry to school. But one thing is missing: the glowing golden arches, the drive-through menus, the paper cups filled with soda. In this timeline, fast food was never invented, and daily life feels strikingly different. Let's start with mornings. In our world, millions grab a coffee at Starbucks or Dunkin', a breakfast sandwich on the go, maybe even a drive-through meal before work. But here, mornings are slower. Coffee culture still exists, but it's dominated by small, independent cafes. Baristas know their customers by name, brewing drinks by hand, not in mass produced machines. There are no chain logos stamped on every corner. Instead, each cafe has its own style, its own recipes, its own atmosphere. For breakfast, people eat at home more often. Fresh bread from the local bakery, eggs cooked in the kitchen, fruit from nearby markets. Meals are not something to rush, they're part of the day, not an interruption. Now imagine lunchtime in a busy city. In our world, workers flood into McDonald's, Subway, or Chipotle. Food in minutes, eaten at desks, back to work. But in this alternate timeline, lunch looks different. Office workers still need quick meals, but without fast food, local restaurants fill the gap. Street vendors sell freshly grilled meats, soups, and breads. Small diners, not chains, dominate the business district. Meals take a little longer, yes, but they're fresher, more personal, more varied. Instead of grabbing the same cheeseburger every day, people try different local cuisines. A Turkish food stall one day, a Mexican tamale the next, maybe an Italian cafe later in the week. Diversity thrives, not through corporate chains, but through cultural exchange. Now think about evenings. In our world, tired families often rely on pizza delivery, fried chicken buckets, or quick drive through dinners. But here, families cook more at home. Grocery stores and markets thrive because the demand for ingredients is higher. Dinner becomes a family ritual again, time spent together, not just fuel for the night. Parents teach children how to cook, recipes are passed down, and kitchens remain the heart of the household. Of course, eating out still exists, but instead of chain restaurants, people visit local taverns, family owned trattorias, or neighborhood diners. Eating out is less about speed and more about connection. Without fast food, cultural life also shifts. There are no Super Bowl ads featuring burgers, no Happy Meals with collectible toys, no fast food mascots etched into childhood memories. Instead, culture revolves around cooking shows, recipes, and culinary traditions. Cities feel different too. No sprawling drive through lanes, no neon fast food strips along the highways. Instead, neighborhoods are dotted with local eateries, open air markets, bakeries, and butcher shops. Food smells fill the streets, but they come from small kitchens, not giant franchises. But life without fast food isn't all idyllic. People spend more time preparing meals, and eating out can be slower and more expensive. Convenience is harder to find. A busy parent working two jobs might struggle without an easy, cheap meal option. Still, the absence of fast food reshapes society into one where meals are more than just calories. They're moments of pause, culture, and connection. So, in this timeline, daily life feels warmer, more personal, and perhaps a little healthier. But what about the bigger systems? What about politics, economics, and even the global marketplace shaped by food? In our next chapter, we'll explore how the absence of fast food changes not just the way we eat, but the way we work, trade, and govern. From global empires to local farmers, the ripple effects are enormous. Food is not just about taste. It's fuel, it's medicine, it's culture. And fast food, well, it changed the very way we consume energy for our bodies. But in this alternate world, a world without fast food, the story of human health takes a very different turn. Think about the health headlines of today: obesity epidemics, type 2 diabetes surging worldwide, heart disease linked to diets high in salt, sugar, and fat. So many of these problems tie back, at least in part, to fast food. Burgers, fries, fried chicken, supersized sodas. Meals designed to be cheap, quick, and addictive. But in a world without fast food, those headlines would look very different. Let's picture an ordinary day, morning. Instead of grabbing a sausage biscuit at a drive through, someone sits down to eggs and toast at home, or maybe oatmeal with fruit. Lunch? No fast food combo meals, so it's a packed sandwich, leftovers from last night, or a small diner meal that takes a little longer, but is made fresh. Dinner? More families cooking together, more balanced portions, more vegetables on the plate. Without fast food chains advertising dollar burgers or fried snacks on every street corner, people grow up valuing cooking skills. They know recipes, they know how to prepare a meal, and their daily calorie intake looks very different. Not necessarily perfect, but certainly less extreme. In our world, obesity rates have skyrocketed in the past 50 years. In some countries, more than 40% of adults are classified as obese. Much of this stems from ultra processed foods, cheap calories, oversized portions, fried everything. In a world without fast food, obesity still exists. After all, people can overeat anywhere, at home, at buffets, at bakeries. But the scale is different. No supersized sodas with more sugar than an entire week's allowance. No endless ads targeting kids with nuggets and fries. No habit of grabbing high calorie meals multiple times a week just because they're convenient. Public health in this alternate world is stronger. Fewer cases of type 2 diabetes, lower rates of heart disease. Medical systems aren't as burdened by diet related illnesses. Lifespans are longer, not by a few months, but by years. And what about fitness culture? In our reality, gyms are filled with people trying to burn off last night's fast food binge. Diet industries profit from selling quick fixes for quick calories. But in this alternate timeline, the fitness craze never takes off in the same way. People are naturally more active, not just at the gym, but in daily life. Meals are smaller, lighter, and less processed. The obsession with fad diets, calorie counting, and detox cleanses is far less dramatic. Instead of a society swinging between overeating and extreme dieting, people live closer to balance. Not perfect, but steadier. And here's something we often forget: food doesn't just affect the body, it affects the mind. Fast food today often fuels guilt. People eat it, then feel shame. Advertising creates impossible body standards. Eat this burger, look like that model. In a world without fast food, this tug of war between indulgence and self criticism is far less intense. Children grow up without cartoon mascots luring them into lifelong eating habits. Teenagers don't feel the same pressure from marketing campaigns that tell them to crave fries while also telling them to stay skinny. Society's relationship with food is healthier, calmer, less conflicted. Imagine a family in this alternate world, a Friday night. Instead of ordering pizza or heading to a drive-thru, they gather in the kitchen. Parents teach kids how to chop vegetables, how to knead dough, how to season a pot of soup. The meal takes time, but it's shared. It's nourishing, and the memories last longer than the meal itself. This isn't just about fewer calories. It's about community, tradition, and a deeper respect for food. So without fast food, health outcomes are better. Obesity is lower. Lifespans are longer. But health isn't just about biology. It's also about money, jobs, global systems, and fast food isn't just a meal. It's a $1 trillion empire. So let's step into the next chapter and see how the absence of fast food reshapes the economy, jobs, and the very structure of global business. When we think of fast food, we usually think of fries, burgers, and buckets of chicken. But behind those meals lies one of the largest economic machines in human history. Fast food isn't just food, it's millions of jobs, trillions of dollars, vast supply chains stretching across the globe. But in our alternate timeline, where fast food was never invented, that machine never gets built. Today, McDonald's alone is worth over $150 billion. Add Burger King, KFC, Taco Bell, Subway, Domino's, and you're looking at a global empire that rivals some of the largest industries on Earth. Fast food chains employ millions, directly and indirectly. Teenagers flipping burgers after school. suppliers trucking frozen patties across states, farmers producing endless fields of potatoes, corn, and soy for fast food contracts, advertising agencies creating catchy jingles that stick in our heads for decades. Now strip that away. No McDonald's, no franchise boom, no global fast food economy. In our reality, fast food became the training ground for generations of workers. For many, it was their first job, flipping burgers, taking orders, manning the fryer. Millions learned discipline, teamwork, and customer service in these restaurants. Without fast food, those entry level jobs vanish. Teenagers don't have that easy first step into the workforce. The job market looks different. More small diners, cafes, and grocery stores hiring, yes, but fewer massive companies offering low barrier employment. And for some families, that means fewer opportunities. The fast food economy may be criticized for low wages, but for many, it has also been a lifeline. The franchise model that spread through fast food changed business forever. Ray Kroc's McDonald's system showed the world how to clone a restaurant, make every burger identical, and scale that identity worldwide. Without fast food, franchising doesn't explode in the same way. Entrepreneurs still expand businesses, but more slowly, more locally. The dream of owning a piece of a global chain never appears. Instead, food businesses stay small, regional, unique. Instead of 30,000 McDonald's locations, maybe you'd see 30,000 independent burger joints, each with their own recipes, their own style. Economically, wealth is spread wider, not concentrated in a few global giants. And then there's farming. Fast foods demand reshaped agriculture, entire landscapes devoted to potatoes for fries, corn turned into syrup for sodas, soy for animal feed. Without fast food, agriculture doesn't industrialize as aggressively. Small farms survive longer. Crop diversity is stronger. The rise of monocultures, endless fields of potatoes or corn stretching for miles, slows down. The farmer's market, not the fast food contract, becomes the lifeline for many growers. Food stays local, seasonal, and less tied to a globalized supply chain. Now think about advertising. Some of the most iconic campaigns in history came from fast food. Ronald McDonald, I'm Lovin' It, the Whopper jingle, the Colonel's face on every bucket. These weren't just ads, they were cultural landmarks. In a world without fast food, billions of dollars in advertising go elsewhere, maybe into grocery stores, maybe into home cooking products, maybe into completely different industries. Marketing itself looks different, less focused on speed, convenience, and bright packaging, and more on tradition, heritage, and quality. Fast food also reshaped our cities. Drive-thrus popped up on every corner. Highways sprouted glowing signs for burgers and fries at every exit. Without fast food, real estate looks different. Strip malls are smaller. Highways have fewer neon signs. City blocks hold more mom and pop diners, not cloned franchises. Global real estate moguls don't get rich off thousands of identical buildings stamped with the same logo. Instead, the money stays in local communities. So, who wins and who loses in this world without fast food? Losers. Massive corporations that never exist, global supply chains that never take roots, advertising giants who lose billions in potential contracts, millions of workers who miss out on those easy entry jobs. Winners, local economies, independent restaurants, small farmers, communities where money circulates locally instead of being funneled to multinational giants. The economic story of this alternate world is one of decentralization, fewer massive empires, more small players, less efficiency perhaps, but more diversity and resilience. Picture this: a teenager in our alternate world looking for their first job. Instead of applying at a fast food chain, they walk into the neighborhood diner. They learn how to take orders by hand, how to cook real food, how to chat with regulars, or imagine a farmer. Instead of selling thousands of potatoes to a corporation for fries, he sells smaller batches to 5 different diners in town. His farm is smaller, his profits steadier, his crops more diverse. The economy may be smaller, but it's closer, more personal, less industrial. Economy, jobs, farming, advertising, all changed without fast food. But money is only one part of the story. To really feel the absence of fast food, we need to look at something deeper: culture and society. How does a world without fast food feel? What do our cities look like? What movies, songs, and childhood memories are missing? Let's step into Chapter 6: Culture and Society, and see how different our world would be. Fast food isn't just about eating, it's about identity, it's about culture. From movies to music, advertising to everyday routines, fast food became a cultural language. But in our alternate timeline, where fast food never existed, this entire layer of society looks completely different. Think about the symbols we all know: the golden arches of McDonald's, the red and white stripes of KFC, the Whopper, the Happy Meal, the milkshake with fries on the side. These weren't just meals, they became icons. In this alternate world, none of it exists. Movies don't use fast food restaurants as shorthand for everyday America. Teens don't hang out at burger joints after school. Road trips don't feature neon lit drive-thrus. Instead, the cultural landscape is filled with diners, cafes, bakeries, and family owned restaurants. Food culture feels less branded, less corporate, and more human. Fast food gave us drive-through life. The idea that meals could be ordered, bagged, and eaten in your car in minutes. That habit shaped suburbs, highways, even the design of cars with cup holders built for giant sodas. Without fast food, the drive-through doesn't dominate. Cars don't evolve around fast eating. Cities don't fill with strip malls lined with identical chain restaurants. Instead, mealtime stays slower. You park, you walk in, you sit down. Urban culture looks different too. No glowing logos on every corner. Instead, neighborhoods are filled with smaller eateries, each with their own unique sign, their own recipes, their own story. Fast food became a cultural prop in movies and music. Think about Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction and its famous burger scene. Think about countless sitcoms where characters gather at fast food spots. Think of pop songs dropping brand names like McDonald's or Taco Bell. In this alternate reality, that cultural shorthand doesn't exist. Directors don't use fast food joints as backdrops for teenage rebellion or late night drama. Musicians don't sing about Taco Bell runs at midnight. Advertising jingles like "I'm lovin' it" or "Have it your way" never shape childhoods. Instead, culture anchors itself in local flavors. A coming of age movie might take place in a small town diner, not a burger chain. A romantic comedy might feature a bakery or a family owned trattoria. Food culture feels closer to tradition, not mass branding. And then there's childhood. In our world, kids grew up begging for Happy Meals, collecting toys, and associating food with bright mascots like Ronald McDonald or the Burger King crown. In the alternate worlds, that ritual never forms. No plastic toys with meals, no cartoon mascots tied to burgers and fries. Childhood food culture revolves around family kitchens, school lunches, and local treats. Ice cream from the corner shop, pastries from the bakery, or street food unique to each town. For many, this means fewer childhood memories tied to corporations and more tied to family and community. Fast food taught us to eat alone, quickly in transit. Bags of food eaten in cars, office desks, or alone at midnight. Without it, mealtime remains social. Families prioritize eating together. Friends gather in cafes, not in drive-thrus. Dining out is slower, more intentional, more about connection than convenience. Society spends more time at the table, and in turn, communities feel tighter, more connected. Food isn't just fuel, it's an excuse to be together. Picture this. It's Friday night in the 1980s, in our alternate world. Teenagers aren't crammed into a McDonald's booth. Instead, they're at a local diner, sipping milkshakes, listening to music on the jukebox, laughing with friends. Or imagine a road trip. Instead of rushing through a drive-thru, a family stops at a roadside cafe. They stretch their legs, share a meal, talk about the journey ahead. The culture of eating shifts from rushed and disposable to slow and memorable. Fast food became a symbol of globalization. The moment a McDonald's opened in Moscow or Beijing, it was seen as a sign of cultural blending, even of political change. Without fast food, that symbol doesn't exist. Nations retain their food identities longer. Japanese ramen shops, Italian trattorias, Indian street food, these remain the face of each culture, rather than golden arches planted across continents. Globalization still happens, but food culture remains more authentic, more tied to heritage. So far, we've seen how a world without fast food changes our daily routines, our health, our jobs, and even our culture. But there's another story here, one of survival. Because fast food didn't just change people, it changed the planet. What happens to the environment without billions of burgers, fries, and soda cups every year? What happens when farms, packaging plants, and shipping networks never grow to feed the fast food machine? Join me in Chapter 7, where we explore the environmental ripple effects of a world without fast food. When we think of fast food, we often imagine burgers sizzling on a grill, fries frying in hot oil, or colorful wrappers tossed aside after a quick meal. But behind every burger, every nugget, every soda cup, there's an environmental cost. Now let's imagine a world where fast food was never invented. No massive chains, no billions of burgers sold every year. How would our planet look different? Fast food didn't just change how we eat, it transformed farming itself. In our real world, fast food chains pushed agriculture into industrial overdrive. Vast monocultures of corn and soy, endless cattle feedlots, chicken megafarms, all designed to supply cheap ingredients at unimaginable speed and scale. But without fast food, agriculture might have remained more local, more diverse. Farms would have grown smaller, focused on seasonal crops, and supplied local markets or family kitchens instead of global chains. Imagine fewer endless fields of corn used for syrup and animal feed, and more orchards, gardens, and regional specialties. Instead of factory farmed chickens bred for nuggets, we might see more traditional breeds raised in smaller numbers. The global food map would be less about uniformity and more about variety. One of fast food's biggest environmental footprints isn't just the food, it's the packaging. Every year, fast food chains generate millions of tons of paper wrappers, plastic straws, styrofoam cups, and disposable bags. In a world without fast food, that waste largely disappears. Think of cities with cleaner streets, oceans with less plastic, and landfills that aren't overflowing with half empty soda cups. Restaurants would have relied more on reusable dishes, diners would eat in instead of drive away, and the culture of throwaway dining might never have taken root. The environmental shift would be massive, a quieter, less trash filled planet. Fast food chains didn't just spread food, they spread cars. The drive through, invented to make eating faster, became a symbol of convenience. Millions of idling engines, billions of car trips made just for burgers and fries. Without fast food, there might be fewer cars sitting in long drive through lines, less carbon from daily commutes for a quick meal. Cities could have been designed differently, fewer giant parking lots around burger chains, and more walkable neighborhoods with local restaurants and markets. It's a small change in habit, multiplied by billions of people, that could mean less air pollution, cleaner skies, and even cooler cities. Fast food's demand for cheap meat, especially beef, has fueled some of the biggest drivers of climate change. Forests cut down for cattle ranches, methane emissions from billions of cows, massive energy used in shipping frozen fries, buns, and meat across the globe. But in a world without fast food, the global appetite for cheap burgers might never have exploded. Rainforests in South America might have been spared from cattle ranching. Methane emissions could be lower, and the global carbon footprint of food might look dramatically different. We can't say fast food alone caused the climate crisis, but it certainly accelerated it. A world without fast food is also a world with fewer throwaway wrappers, fewer factory farms, less car idling, and possibly healthier ecosystems. But let's not forget, humans are ingenious. If fast food didn't exist, perhaps another form of mass produced convenience food would have risen in its place. Would that alternative have been kinder to the earth, or just as destructive in different ways? Still, it's fascinating to imagine cleaner cities, more diverse farms, and a culture of eating that doesn't lean so heavily on single use plastics and industrial farming. The environment, at least, might have breathed a little easier. So we've explored daily life, health, the economy, culture, and even the environment in this alternate world. But what about today? In our modern high tech society, where apps, delivery services, and globalization define eating habits, what would life look like now if fast food had never existed? Let's step into the present and reimagine the modern world without fast food. We've traveled through history, health, culture, and the environment, all reimagined in a world without fast food. But now, let's step firmly into the present, the age of smartphones, delivery apps, and globalization. a time when food is not only about taste, but speed, branding, and convenience. So, in this digital, modern age, if fast food had never been invented, how different would our lives look today? Think about how much food tech depends on fast food culture. Uber Eats, DoorDash, Deliveroo, their biggest partners, fast food chains, burgers, pizzas, tacos delivered in minutes, any time of day. Without fast food, these apps would look very different. Instead of a menu filled with global chains, they'd rely on local restaurants, home kitchens, or small regional eateries. Delivery culture would still exist, but it might feel slower, more personal, less about speed, more about connection. Maybe instead of ordering a Big Mac, you'd order a bowl of homemade pasta from the corner trattoria. Instead of a milkshake, a freshly blended smoothie from a local cafe. The digital age of food would have grown, but it would look a lot less uniform. Walk through any major city today, and you'll find fast food on every corner. Golden arches, glowing pizza slices, buckets of fried chicken. These signs became icons, shaping the look of our streets. But in a world without fast food, cities would feel different. Streets lined not with identical burger joints, but with independent diners, family owned restaurants, and local cuisines. Every neighborhood might have its own signature flavors instead of being dominated by global brands. And perhaps our sense of place, our city identity, would be stronger. Imagine Tokyo without McDonald's, New York without Starbucks, Paris without Burger King. Each city would feel more itself. Fast food is everywhere in our culture, from Hollywood movies to music videos, from catchy jingles to memes about late night cravings. Even our language, supersize, happy meal, drive-through, comes from fast food. Without it, modern culture would have had to find other icons. Maybe coffeehouse culture would have become the universal symbol of youth, or bakeries and street food stalls might have become the backdrop of films and TV shows. Advertising, too, would be unrecognizable. No Ronald McDonald, no Have It Your Way, no Starbucks holiday cups. Instead, companies would sell us on slower dining, maybe promoting community cafes, healthier snacks, or artisanal treats. The modern brandscape would feel less industrial and more human. Fast food didn't just feed people, it standardized taste across the globe. Whether you're in Brazil, China, or Canada, a Big Mac tastes the same. That sameness became part of globalization. But without fast food, eating habits would remain more regional. People traveling abroad would find much bigger differences in local diets. A tourist might be surprised by every new city's food instead of comforted by a familiar burger. Food would still connect the world, but instead of one global menu, we'd live in a patchwork of local traditions, a more diverse, perhaps more authentic culinary planet. So, what does all this tell us? That fast food, while just one invention, reshaped almost every part of modern life. Our diets, our cities, our culture, our environment, our economy, all molded by something as simple as a burger in under 5 minutes. In a world without fast food, maybe we'd be healthier. Maybe the planet would be cleaner. Maybe our communities would feel closer and our cities more unique. But here's the truth: fast food exists because we demanded it, because we wanted speed, convenience, and affordability. This alternate history reminds us that the choices we make, what we eat, how we live, ripple outward to shape the entire world. So, next time you see a glowing fast food sign at night, think about the bigger picture. Think about the impact on your health, your community, and your planet. And ask yourself, what kind of food future do we want to build? Maybe it's not about erasing fast food, but about reimagining it. Slower, healthier, greener, and more connected to the people and places around us. Because in the end, food is more than fuel. It's culture, it's identity, it's our future. And perhaps imagining a world without it teaches us how to make our real one better.